MIL, since you're dirty, holding my daughter will cost you $1,000 each time. Being a farmer, you probably don't have that kind of money. When I went to the hospital after hearing Rosie, my eldest son's wife, had given birth, she said this to me. She insulted and mocked me for being a farmer, implying I was unclean. My anger boiled over. There had been disrespectful behavior before, but I tried to treat her equally as a relative, even if we didn't get along, because she was my son's wife. But now, I've reached my limit. I was filled with disgust for Rosie, who disrespects and insults people because of their job. And I decided that I would have nothing to do with Rosie ever again. That's what I resolved in my heart. Then, we'll just give up. Saying this, my husband and I left the hospital without giving the baby gift we had brought. I'm Risa, 63 years old. Since marrying my husband, a farmer, we've worked together in agriculture. We married in our mid-20s and were blessed with 2 sons. However, being a farmer is not easy, as there are hardly any days off and work starts early in the morning. Even so, with the help of family and neighbors, I was able to raise my 2 sons. Both of our sons have grown up. Our eldest, Evan, landed a job at a major IT company. Our younger son, Tim, became an employee at the city hall. With the children grown up, I continued working as usual but also enjoyed leisure time, having tea with neighbors. Tim married Sharon, his classmate from the local area, a few years after getting a job. They built a house nearby, so they often visit us. However, Evan was all about his job and never mentioned marriage. Around the time he turned 30, I started to worry why he wasn't marrying, but he seemed to enjoy his work too much for me to say anything. Everything changed when Evan turned 35. He brought a woman home. This is Rosie. We're dating and planning to get married. I was surprised, but secretly overjoyed hearing Evan say this, a bit shyly. Rosie seemed charming and cute. She's only 28, younger than Evan, but these days age gap marriages aren't uncommon. I was happy Evan found someone wonderful, but Rosie's expression changed when we talked about work. What? Your parents are farmers? Yes, that's right. We mainly ship leafy vegetables like arugula too. The veggies Dad and them grow are really tasty. We have some vegetables harvested this morning. Why don't you take them? I'd really like you to try them, Rosie. Is that so? Rosie, who had been smiling until now, visibly grimaced. I wondered if I had said something offensive, but didn't dwell on it as Evan changed the topic. However, it was when Evan and the others were leaving. Oh, don't forget to take the vegetables. When handed to Rosie, she made an overtly disgusted face and muttered, "Dirty." What? I couldn't believe my ears. It's covered in soil. It's just been harvested. They're in a plastic bag, so it won't dirty your car. Make sure to wash them well before cooking. I don't even feel like eating such dirty vegetables. I was shocked at Rosie's words. It's not that dirty, right? It's just a little soil. Why do I have to wash them? Are all people who work such lowly jobs as farming this unclean? I can't even think of them as the same humans. You don't need to go that far. I decided to marry Evan because he works at a big company and has a good income. To think his family is a bunch of farmers, it's the worst. Rosie was complaining. As I was about to respond to her insulting words about farmers, Evan, who had been getting the car out of the garage, came over. What's going on? Rosie was. It's nothing. Evan, please take these vegetables they're offering. Rosie interrupted me with a loud voice. Evan, looking puzzled, took the vegetables from my hand. Thanks, Mom. I'll call you later about the wedding and stuff. Saying this, Evan went back to the car. Rosie followed him, but when Evan wasn't looking, she came closer to me. "I have no intention of dealing with a farmer MILs like you." Rosie whispered this so only I could hear. I couldn't believe Evan's partner judged and insulted people based on their job. Could their marriage really be okay? I became worried about Evan's marriage, but after that day, he was too busy with work to get in touch. I wanted to talk to him about Rosie but couldn't, leaving me with unresolved feelings. Eventually, Evan married Rosie. I subtly asked if Rosie was the right choice, but Evan seemed so smitten that my warnings probably wouldn't be heard. Though Rosie and I didn't get along, I swallowed my concerns as long as Evan was happy with her. And from then on, I avoided any interaction with Rosie. 2 months after Evan's wedding, a family gathering was planned for a meal. I contacted my sons, but Evan couldn't attend due to a business trip. Instead, Rosie will come alone.
Rosie? Is she coming by herself?
It's not far, and she said she'd be fine taking a taxi, so it should be okay. As the wife of the eldest son, she can't really skip it, right?
If she's okay with it.
Honestly, I was worried if she'd really come alone since she seemed to be avoiding our house. And my worries proved true. On the morning of the event, I got a call from Rosie. "I'm feeling under the weather today, so I can't make it."
Is that so? Evan's on a business trip. Are you sure you'll be all right alone?
"I think I'll get better with some rest, so don't worry. I'm going to sleep now, so I'll hang up." She ended the call abruptly. I was a bit irritated by her brusque manner, though I understood being unwell. But there was no time to dwell on Rosie. I stopped thinking about it because I had to prepare the meal. Tim's wife, Sharon, helped out, and we smoothly managed the preparation and cleanup.
Sharon, thank you as always.
No problem at all. Is there anything else I can help with?
It's all set now. Oh, I received a cake. Would you like some before you go? How about you, Tim? Really? That would be great.
Tim nodded happily, and while I was preparing the cake and coffee, a call came from one of the relatives who had joined us earlier. "Hello? Is something wrong?"
No, I'm just shopping on my way home, but I saw someone who looks just like Rosie. She's having a good time with an unfamiliar man. I'll send you a picture. Can you take a look?
After hanging up, they sent the picture.
What's this?
What's up? Wow. Isn't this Rosie? I thought she was unwell.
That's what I heard.
The photo was clearly of Rosie. She was walking arm in arm with an unfamiliar man, looking nothing like someone who was sick.
Could this be cheating?
It's possible, but we can't be sure with just this. We need more evidence. I was too shocked to speak. Not just for skipping the gathering with a lie, but the possibility of her cheating on Evan left me at a loss for what to do.
Even if we confront her about cheating, she might just talk her way out of it. And it's hard to tell Evan, who's looking forward to the wedding, that he might be being cheated on.
Yes, you're right. Though they were legally married, the wedding ceremony was scheduled 4 months later. Evan was busy, but making time to prepare a wonderful ceremony for Rosie. I couldn't bring myself to tell Evan that he might be being cheated on. If only we had solid evidence. With Tim's words, we all sighed. About half a year later, Rosie gave birth to a child. The pregnancy was discovered right after the infidelity suspicions arose. Despite the lingering doubts about her fidelity, I was genuinely happy about the birth of my first grandchild. After hearing about the birth, my husband and I went to the hospital. In the room, Rosie was holding the newborn.
Congratulations on the birth. How are you feeling now?
Still a bit tough, but not as bad as I thought.
That's good to hear.
Is Evan at work? He was here until a moment ago, but left after getting a call from work. While saying this, Rosie lovingly stroked the baby.
She's adorable. May I hold her?
At my request, Rosie frowned.
What? No way. Don't touch her, please. Why would you say that?
Because it's dirty, right?
Farmers have dirt under their nails, don't they? I can't let such hands touch my daughter.
She looked at me and my husband as if we were filthy. If you really want to hold her, pay for it. Mil, you're dirty, so holding my daughter is $1,000 a time. Being farmers, you probably don't have that kind of money. I exploded in anger at Rosie, who laughed mockingly. I had tried to treat her equally as a relative, even if we didn't get along, because she was my son's wife, but now I've reached my limit. I was filled with disgust towards Rosie, who belittles people for their jobs and makes insulting remarks. And I decided that I would have nothing to do with Rosie ever again. That's what I resolved in my heart.
Then I'll give up.
Saying this, I left the hospital without giving the baby gift. Half a year later, Tim and his wife welcomed a long-awaited grandchild. A lovely baby boy. So adorable that everything he does seems precious. Thinking about working hard for my grandson, Rosie suddenly came to our house.
Hey! Is it true that you bought Sharon a stroller and baby clothes?
She started yelling the moment she saw me, and I sighed. What's this about? Yes, we bought Sharon a stroller and clothes, but is there a problem?
Why only buy for Sharon? You never buy anything for my daughter.
That's because you called me dirty, didn't you? I thought you wouldn't want anything from dirty, farming me. At that, Rosie's face twisted in frustration.
But if I could get presents, it's different. I thought it was pointless to pretend to be nice since you're poor. But if I could get such nice things, I should have acted nicer.
Rosie said, mixed with a sigh.
Anyway, I'm surprised you could afford such a nice stroller with a farmer's income. It's a popular brand even among celebrities, right?
It was expensive, but it's lightweight and easy to push, so I thought it was a good choice. And for your information, despite what you keep saying about being poor, we earn about $70,000 a year.
There's no way a farmer can earn that much.
I sighed again at Rosie, who knew nothing. Our farm is large, and we use machinery to harvest a lot of vegetables, making it profitable. Plus, our vegetables are recognized for their quality, so we sell them at a slightly higher price. We have contracts with restaurants nationwide and sell directly, so even at higher prices, there are no leftovers, leading to a stable income. You know nothing about farming, yet you make such baseless statements. I have no intention of associating with you anymore, so could you please leave?
Wait! It's unfair to only buy for Sharon. You didn't even give me a baby gift.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to give a present to someone who calls me dirty. Besides, we always give Sharon gifts as a thank you for the help she provides. Sharon always participates in family gatherings and helps with household chores. She also happily helps me, someone who's not tech-savvy, with mobile phone operations. So, it's a way of showing gratitude to Sharon, who's always there for us. It's not strange not to give gifts to Rosie, who does nothing but says rude things. Still not satisfied, Rosie began complaining about the unfairness in front of our house. Just as I was thinking it was becoming a nuisance to the neighborhood, Evan came out of the house.
What are you doing making a scene here? ! What? Why is Evan here? I thought you were at work.
I took the day off. I had something to ask Mom. Rosie stood gaping at the sudden appearance of Evan.
But first, what's this about? Insulting my mom as dirty and then demanding gifts. How can you say such things? It's not like that, this is.
In front of Evan, who she had always tried to appear good to, Rosie started to panic.
I just told Mil to stop because she tried to touch me with dirty hands. Then she got mad and started being mean to me. That's awful, don't you think?
You don't need to lie anymore. I can't trust you anymore, Rosie.
Why? Why do you trust Mil and not me?
Because, Rosie, you have lied multiple times. You said you were too sick to attend the family gathering, but you were out having fun, right? And you told me you attended it. Rosie glared at me fiercely in response to Evan's words.
Unfortunately, it wasn't me who told Evan. A relative who saw you shopping informed him.
The relative who sent me the photo had emailed Evan without mentioning the infidelity, but stating that his wife was out having fun. It seemed he didn't know about the man, but his distrust grew knowing Rosie had lied.
I heard about everything from Mom. You've been really disrespectful just because we're farmers. That's because farming is a job for the lowest of the low. It's a job for socially unfit people, and I didn't think any decent people were doing it. So you insulted Mom and Dad without knowing them, based on your own prejudices? I'm disappointed in you, Rosie. I don't want to see you anymore, so could you please leave?
At Evan's cold words, Rosie's face turned pale.
Leave? You mean the apartment we're living in?
Yes.
I can't live with you anymore, so please leave. The divorce papers will be sent through a lawyer. I apologize for what I said to Mil. But a divorce, just for that, is too much.
Rosie clung to Evan, almost crying.
It's not just that, is it?
Evan spoke in a voice I had never heard before.
You recognize the man in this photo, don't you?
Evan said this and showed Rosie the photo. It depicted Rosie with an unfamiliar man. The same person from the photo sent by a relative on the day of the family gathering.
Why do you have this?
Actually, I received messages from various people saying they saw you walking intimately with an unknown man. Relatives and neighbors.
Why would they talk about me?
People in the countryside love gossip. Everyone was worried Evan might be cheated on and quickly informed me. In small communities, news spreads fast. So Rosie being seen with an unknown man quickly became known. It looked suspicious, so I was advised to investigate Rosie. I hired a detective, and they found a high possibility of infidelity. At my words, Rosie, realizing she couldn't escape, glared at me with immense anger.
This is why I hate the countryside. Cheating, what about it? It's Evan's fault for neglecting me. I was lonely. If you were lonely, you should have told me directly!
I thought I would be a bother, but I won't cheat again. Please forgive me. Rosie started to cry. However, Evan's expression remained stern.
You said you were lonely because I was always working? But this report says there was a relationship even before our marriage. What's that about? Are you still lying to deceive me? That's a lie. It's a false report.
The person is someone you've been dating since college, right? You've broken up and gotten back together several times. We even know his name, so maybe it's better to stop lying. At this, Rosie's face turned pale and she began to tremble.
From the looks of the photos, you've been buying quite expensive items. I had no idea you were using my money for this. This was impulse buying due to stress. Even so, you've bought a lot of brand name products. Spending money I worked hard to earn, and on top of that, cheating? I can't trust you anymore. Wait. Anything but divorce. Please, not that. Our daughter is still young. I can't survive if we divorce.
Rosie clung to Evan while crying. I thought, if she was going to do this, she should have never cheated in the first place. It's too late now for such regrets.
I'm sorry, but my mind is made up. I'll be filing for divorce and seeking compensation for the infidelity. Our daughter is still young and I can't work. How can I pay any compensation? What are you saying? That's not my concern. You betrayed me, so it's only fair. I'll consult a lawyer I know and let you know the amount later.
Rosie seemed to realize that Evan would no longer be on her side. She stood up, her demeanor changing completely, looking furious.
You've been saying whatever you want. Don't you have a heart? If you're going to talk about compensation and divorce, then pay child support. Can you pay $100,000 right now for her upbringing until she's 20? If you can't, I won't agree to the divorce.
Rosie said this defiantly.
Men have it easy. Even if you decide to leave me, you don't have to raise a child. At least fulfill your role as a father by paying child support.
She probably said that, thinking it would trouble Evan. Rosie crossed her arms, wearing a triumphant expression. But Evan just snorted at Rosie. Fine, I'll pay. If the child is actually mine.
What?
Rosie's face tensed instantly.
I felt something off since I first saw my daughter. As she grew, that feeling intensified. She doesn't look like me at all, does she?
Indeed, seeing my granddaughter today after a long time, she didn't resemble Evan or Rosie, having lighter pigmentation. Her droopy, large eyes seemed to resemble the man Rosie was with, not Evan.
Today, seeing the face of the man you cheated with, I became certain. She looks like him. And if you've been involved with him since before our marriage, it's possible the child is his. That's not true. She is your child, Evan.
Then let's do a test. It'll make things clear.
Wait. There's no need for that.
Rosie, sweating and desperately trying to explain, wasn't believed by anyone.
No, we should clarify this. If the test shows she's my child, I'll pay $100,000 in child support during the divorce. If she's not, I won't pay anything. That's outrageous! You can't test such a small, newborn baby.
It's fine.
I know someone who has done tests on children.
Realizing Evan was serious, Rosie turned pale and held her head.
Regardless of the test results, I'm going through with the divorce, so please leave the house today. Wait! Please, listen to me one more time. MIL, help me. You love your granddaughter, right? I'll let you hold her as much as you want. Just forgive me.
Rosie, giving up on Evan listening, grabbed my hand and clung to me. But I had no intention of forgiving Rosie after all the disrespect she showed.
It doesn't matter anymore. I don't need to hold her. Please, stay out of our lives. How can you say that?
Ignoring Rosie's cries, Evan closed the front door. For a while, there was the sound of Rosie pounding on the door and yelling, but she reluctantly left when neighbors started to gather. Evan successfully divorced Rosie, and I was also able to cut ties with her. Later, a DNA test revealed that the child was not related to Evan at all. As a result, Rosie couldn't receive child support and instead had to pay compensation. Having been kicked out of the house, Rosie sought help from the man she cheated with, but he abandoned her, unwilling to take care of the child. With no one else to turn to, Rosie returned to her parents' home. I heard that her parents' home is in Philadelphia, in an area even more remote than around my house. In such a rural area, it seems the news of her returning home after cheating spread quickly. Somehow, even the details of her being cheated on and abandoned got out, and now she seems to be living quietly and uncomfortably. After the divorce, Evan focused even more on his work and got promoted. With no one to spend his money on, he generously took my husband and me on a trip, saying he had extra funds. Evan, being such a family-oriented person, I believe will surely make a wonderful husband and father in the future. I sincerely hope for beautiful new beginnings in Evan's life.
Then the house is mine. If you have a complaint, let's get a divorce.
Just after Dad Adam had passed away, my husband Cody was gleefully boasting about having changed the house's title into his name, which made me dizzy. Changing the title like that shouldn't be so easy. I thought maybe Cody was misunderstanding something.
Then we can get a divorce, but won't you regret it?
Cody, not expecting me to agree to a divorce so easily, let out a dumbfounded huh?
I won't.
With an expression as if to say, "Are you stupid?" Cody replied. I see. He won't regret it. Then, I won't hold back. Don't come crying to me later. I scoffed at Cody's naivety in my heart. My name is Regina. I'm 35 years old and work as a civil servant. Being serious by nature, it's quite fitting that I landed a job as a civil servant. When I passed the civil service exam, my parents were delighted. That's because Dad always told me to choose as stable a job as possible. Whether being a civil servant is absolutely stable is debatable nowadays, but so far, there haven't been any problems, and I feel like I can continue this job. There was a reason Dad wanted me to have a stable job. After graduating from college, my dad joined a startup company. Filled with enthusiasm for his upcoming professional life, he dived into a company with just 10 employees, hoping to improve his skills. However, surviving as a company for even a few years is quite challenging. The company Dad joined went bankrupt just 2 years later. Dad tried to find another job, but couldn't find a suitable one. So, he decided to start his own company. With little know-how in business, Dad started managing a restaurant and gradually expanded its performance. As the number of stores increased and more employees were hired, he had to worry about sales and profits daily. Most of the stores were renovated vacant or owned houses, so there was no rent. Thus, the more customers, the more profit, amassing $3 million in assets over 35 years. But, of course, it wasn't easy. Running a business as unstable as management meant accumulating daily stress. Once the business started to profit, people driven by greed appeared, complicating human relationships. There was even an incident where an employee ran off with the store's money. Building assets is not straightforward. That's probably why Dad wanted me, his daughter, to live comfortably without going through the hardships he faced. I'm satisfied with being a civil servant, a job that fits my personality well. Though not wealthy, I can lead a normal life without issues. That's why I thought the best was to continue living peacefully.
Tomorrow night I'll be late. Don't wait up for dinner.
How many times has Cody said this? As I was washing the dishes after dinner, I dried my hands with a towel and turned to ask.
Again? Is there that much overtime at the factory?
It's our busy season. Cody works in a factory making semiconductors, doing line work. 18 years have passed since he started this job right after high school graduation. Processing parts that come down the line for 8 hours a day is indeed hard work. I could never do it, but for Cody, it seems easier than a job that requires thinking.
Right. Semiconductors have been in short supply recently. Must be tough.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, but I think I'll be late for a while. Okay. Good luck.
Lately, coming home late has become the norm, and sometimes he doesn't return until the date changes. I can't imagine he's working that late, so he must be going out for drinks after work. While I understand the desire to soothe a tired body with alcohol, it seems to be happening too frequently. But I can't possibly say such a thing to Cody. Telling him not to go out for drinks when he's already exhausted from work might make him angry. Fortunately, the drinking money should come from Cody's allowance, so it wasn't too much of a problem. As I watched Cody go to the bedroom, I rolled my shoulders. They've been stiff lately. The stress of living past each other is probably making me tense up. I tell myself not to take things too seriously. I met Cody when I was a sophomore in high school. He went to a nearby boys' school and approached me during a cultural festival. He was a year younger and asked for my contact information. Initially hesitant, I gave in after his persistent pursuit. Why he was so interested in me, a girl whose only trait was being serious, was a mystery. But embarrassingly, he said it was because he liked my looks. Cody seemed frivolous at first, which worried me, but I soon found out he was surprisingly devoted. And I quickly grew fonder of him than he was of me. Even after graduating high school, with Cody working in me going to university and becoming a civil servant, he remained my boyfriend. We got married when I was 27. Unfortunately, we haven't been blessed with children since then. I think it might be too late now. But I'm okay with it just being the two of us. If I can continue living with Cody, who hasn't changed since we met, that's enough for me. Cody probably feels the same. During our busy yet tranquil married life, I received a call on my mobile phone. Hello?
Hello, Regina? Oh, good. Are you at work right now?
Yes, but what's up? It must be something urgent for Mom to call in the middle of a weekday. I asked what happened. It's serious. Adam collapsed, and after some tests, they say it's colorectal cancer.
Cancer? No way!
Hearing the word cancer from Mom, I couldn't believe my ears. There had never been any cancer patients in our family. But Dad, being a business owner, had indeed neglected his health checkups. So, it wouldn't be strange if he had been sick without realizing it. It's true. It's quite advanced.
That can't be. But cancer is curable these days, isn't it?
The thing is, given Adam's condition, he might only have a few months left.
A few months? That can't be.
I wanted to believe it was impossible. But Dad was only 60, young, and it made sense if the cancer was progressing rapidly. Especially since it was discovered late. No matter how much medicine has advanced, curing late-stage cancer is difficult, Mom explained tearfully.
Understood. I'll come home for a while. I'll let Cody know too.
Thank you, Regina. Dad is very important to me. There was no way I wouldn't rush to his side in a crisis. Cody would understand. That day, I finished work unsettled and went home. Cody was home early for a change, and seeing my pale face, he asked,
"What's wrong? You look upset."
Cody was drinking beer on the sofa. I told him everything Mom had said. And I asked if it was okay for me to go home for a while. That's tough. Understood. Stay by Adam's side.
Thank you. But I won't be able to cook for you.
No worries. I've been getting home late from work anyway. I'll eat out.
Make sure you eat something nutritious once in a while.
I know. Cody listened to me calmly, which was a relief. Feeling reassured, I started preparing for my return home tomorrow. As bedtime approached and I was about to enter my room, I heard Cody talking on the phone in his bedroom. It seemed he was on a call with someone. I didn't intend to eavesdrop, but I stopped when I heard a word that caught my attention. It seems he's about to kick the bucket soon. Can you do something about that thing we discussed before? Kick the bucket. Was he talking about Dad? Yes, I see. Thank you, I appreciate it. I couldn't tell whom he was talking to or what exactly they were discussing, but it was clear they were talking about Dad. But why would he say such a thing? I had never heard Cody speak ill of Dad. They weren't particularly close, but he wasn't heartless enough to not care about Dad's condition. Yet, Cody seemed indifferent about Dad's situation. And though Dad was terminally ill, he was still alive. Discussing Dad's posthumous matters with a stranger was unthinkable. For the first time, I felt suspicious of Cody. After that, my doubts about Cody never faded. Take care, he cheerfully saw me off to my parents' home, but I couldn't stop worrying about what Cody had said on the phone. Cody was up to something. When it comes to Dad, it's about money. I never told Cody how much Dad's assets were. I thought talking about money might lead to trouble. We could discuss the inheritance when the time came. It's not time yet. Not that I was hiding it, but I didn't think it was necessary to talk about. But what if Cody knew about Dad's assets? And what if he was after that money? No, I should stop overthinking. Trying to shake off the bad thoughts, I took care of Dad and enjoyed our small talk.
Thank you, Regina. Tamara, I'm a lucky man.
Don't be so formal. You don't need to say that. It's too early to be thankful. While Mom and I tried to dispel the gloom with laughter, only Dad smiled knowingly, squinting his eyes. That life with Dad ended too soon, 3 months later. Both Mom and I were unprepared for such an abrupt farewell. During the funeral, I was stunned, unable to accept the fact that Dad was no longer with us. On the contrary, Cody seemed alive and well, and I couldn't help but wonder. It was about a week after the funeral when my heart finally settled. As I was drinking alone in the living room, Cody came in. Finally, all the hassle is over, he said coldly, crossing his arms behind his head.
Hassle?
Yeah. I was hoping Adam would kick the bucket soon, but when he did, the funeral and everything was a lot of work.
Hey, that's no way to talk. A person has died, and that person is my dad. How can you say such a thing?
I leaned in, incredulous at Cody's words, and retorted. Just as I thought. Cody had been hoping Dad would pass away sooner. I remembered Cody talking about Dad on the phone with someone. What was Cody's aim? So, when do I get the inheritance? The Regina family is super rich, right? I know there's a lot of inheritance waiting. That's when I finally understood Cody's intentions. I never thought Cody was after Dad's assets, because I never talked to Cody about my family's money. But it seems Cody had realized Dad had quite an estate. You look surprised. Of course, I know. My family has always been dirt poor, struggling to eat 3 meals a day. Compared to that, your family lives comfortably, and your parents travel frequently. Just from that, I knew you were rich. So, I consulted in advance.
Consulted with whom?
Without any shame, Cody had deduced my family's financial situation and indeed mentioned he had consulted someone after revealing his thoughts. I remembered the day Cody was on the phone in the bedroom and thought that must be what he referred to as consulting. I have a lawyer acquaintance. I asked him about old man's inheritance. I'm definitely getting my share. Well, I was appalled that Cody had discussed Dad's inheritance with a stranger without my consent, even while Dad was still alive. I doubted whether the creature standing before me was really my husband. Don't worry. I'll be getting an answer soon. Looking forward to it. With that, Cody went back to the bedroom. He probably planned to contact that lawyer acquaintance again. I was taken aback by Cody's outrageous behavior. Where on earth does one find a husband who investigates his wife's parental inheritance on his own? The inheritance issue was my family's matter, not something for Cody to interfere in. Growing increasingly distrustful of Cody's actions, I found myself unable to speak to him. We lived in a Cold War state for a while, but the situation took a sudden turn a month later. Putting aside the fact that Cody was talking about inheritance, Dad's assets were rightfully passed on to me and my mother. I inherited a $2 million mansion from Dad, which felt beyond my worth. I had no immediate plans to move into the inherited house, but it seemed too wasteful to just let it sit there. As I was pondering whether to use it as a vacation home or to sell it, Cody spoke to me for the first time in a while.
Regina, how are you?
Living in the same house and asking how are you felt ironic. I ignored his words and picked up a book nearby. Don't ignore me.
I've changed the deed of the mansion you inherited to my name.
Hearing those shocking words, I looked up from the book I was about to read.
What do you mean? I asked that lawyer I mentioned before to take care of it. The procedure? You mean the change of ownership?
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't believe it, not just that he did it without telling me, but also that the lawyer agreed to such a thing.
Now the house is mine. If you have a problem, let's get a divorce.
Dad had just passed away, and here was Cody, gleefully boasting about changing the house's ownership to his name, making me dizzy. Changing ownership shouldn't be that easy. I thought Cody must be misunderstanding something. I hesitated about whether to retort to Cody. I was utterly furious at Cody's actions and couldn't easily forgive him. So, instead of retorting here, I wanted to devise a plan and get back at him properly.
Then it's okay to get a divorce, but won't you regret it?
Cody, seemingly not expecting me to agree to divorce so readily, let out a dumbfounded huh?
No, I won't.
Cody replied with a look as if to say, are you stupid? I see. He won't regret it. Then, I will not hold back. Don't come crying to me later. I scoffed at Cody's naive thoughts inwardly. Afterward, I began investigating Cody's background using all means available. First, I took some paid leave and thoroughly searched Cody's room while he was at work. Cody's messy room was filthy, with various items scattered all over the floor. Among them, I found something and picked it up, slipping it into my pocket quietly. Then, I tampered with the computer on Cody's desk, opening a messaging app. So this is the lawyer. The exchanges with this person named O'Connor were appalling. Most of them were about money. Moreover, it was about how to steal illegitimate money. I sighed in dismay. Cody, who was swayed by such a person, even seemed pitiful to me. Then, I left the room and headed to a certain place. After repeatedly engaging in laborious tasks, I went to confirm Cody's greediness. The more I investigated, the more I realized I had been living with such a person, and it sent shivers down my spine. After finishing the investigation on Cody and cooling off, I went to submit the divorce application. Since Cody had brought it up, filling in the necessary information and submitting it was simple. The divorce application was accepted at the office, and I officially divorced Cody. It was an unexpected divorce for me, but I no longer had any love left for Cody, who insulted Dad. The Cody I once knew was no more. Investigating revealed that Cody was a terrible man. Submitting the divorce application, the house was no longer mine. This house was originally bought in Cody's name, and there was a mortgage on it. I thought it would be proper for me to leave, but Cody did not return home from that day onwards. Probably, he is living in the mansion I inherited by now. Wonder if he's enjoying his life now. But, how long will that last, I wonder? I was very calm, thinking about Cody's future. And then, 3 days later, Cody finally appeared before me.
Regina, you've already submitted the divorce application.
As he entered through the front door, he asked with an anxious voice. Cody's sudden return and rude question made me reply with a what?
So, are we divorced now?
Cody raised his voice, seemingly in quite a panic. Yes. I submitted it 3 days ago. So now, you and I are strangers.
What?
A look of despair spread across Cody's face. Despite Cody being the one who asked for a divorce, he looked at me as if I were to blame.
Why would you do something so selfish?
Selfish? You were the one who said we should get divorced, didn't you? What's this all about now? Faced with my logical response, Cody fell silent for a moment. I had a hunch why Cody was suddenly blaming me for the divorce.
Regina, please. Marry me again, otherwise
This time, Cody slumped to the floor, kneeling and looking downhearted. I asked him with a look of pity.
Oh, why?
What happened? I pretty much knew what had happened, but I decided to feign ignorance and ask anyway.
Just now, debt collectors came to my place. I called O'Connor, but it seems he's changed his number, and I can't reach him at all. I sent messages, but they're not being read. That guy, he tricked me.
O'Connor was the so-called lawyer Cody mentioned. Cody's story was disjointed, but I had the gist of it. I had guessed what Cody had been up to when I searched his room.
Ah, so you've been gambling all this time. I found all sorts of betting slips and bingo hall receipts in your room, and I even checked with the nearby poker room about your visit history. You've been going there for about a year, haven't you? That's why you ran out of money, right? When I checked our joint account, I noticed small withdrawals that I didn't recognize, and I realized you had even started dipping into our money. And then you got scammed by that lawyer?
Yes, Cody had been gambling behind my back all this time. I had wondered why he was coming home late, not because he was out drinking, but because he was gambling. When Dad died and I inherited the assets, he must have thought it was an opportunity. He consulted with the man called O'Connor, a supposed lawyer, on how he could inherit the assets.
That's right. I regret the gambling, but I was also tricked by that man. It seems the mansion you inherited isn't mine after all. I'll go bankrupt at this rate. Isn't that pitiful? So, help me.
He had initiated the divorce himself, and now he was pleading to get back together. I was beyond angry at Cody's disgraceful behavior. Had he forgotten how he wished for Dad's death and disrespected him? I couldn't even think of him as my ex-husband anymore.
Huh? What are you talking about? Aren't you the one at fault here? Pitiful? Do you think I would feel that way? The reason you were scammed is because of your own foolishness. The assets I inherited from Dad are considered separate property, not subject to division or unauthorized name changes. Yet, you were easily deceived by O'Connor and now you come crying to me? I will never forgive you.
Cody, seeing my demonic expression as I firmly stated this, shrunk back in fear. I walked past Cody, opening the front door.
Well, I'm moving to the mansion Dad left me. You can live in this house as you please. Good luck with the mortgage payments. Wait!
Ignoring the pitiful man calling after me, I briskly walked away. A week later, I received a call on my mobile phone. The caller was Cody's mother, Catherine. I braced myself, thinking she would blame me for the divorce, but it was the opposite. Oh, Regina. I'm sorry. My son has done something terrible, hasn't he? I don't know how to apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize for anything.
No, I can't let this go. He even came asking for help to pay off his debts. I'm appalled. I told him he's going to get a thorough lecture from me at home. He won't be gambling again, that's for sure. He'll learn the value of money. For a while, he'll have to manage work and household chores on his own. Catherine, furious over Cody's misdeeds, was determined to make him suffer the consequences. I smirked to myself, wondering if he could endure his mother's discipline. This was his punishment for insulting Dad and trying to swindle my inheritance. I felt not a shred of pity for him. He should work hard on paying off his debts. As I declared, I moved to the mansion Dad left me. The furniture was already there, so I didn't need to buy anything new. I had to buy clothes and other small items since I left them at the previous house, but thinking about my new life of freedom made me excited. The new house is really spacious, almost too much for just one person to live in. I've had enough of marriage for now, but if time passes and I meet someone nice, I'll invite them over to this house. They're sure to be so surprised they'll be speechless. Just imagining the reaction of a future husband I haven't met yet makes me burst into laughter.
Dad, thank you.
Grateful to Dad for leaving me such a wonderful asset, I'm ready to take a new step forward.